Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about why your new gun might be jamming up. Okay, obviously this video is intended more for beginners, people that just got into the shooting game. Very typical, new shooter, bought their first gun. It might be a very good gun. It might be a Glock or a Sig or a Beretta, and they're getting jams. Why is that happening? Okay, so the thing to understand with pistols, right? Okay, in order for the semi-automatic pistol to work, okay, the bottom part of the gun, right, the lower, has to stay steady while the top part, the slide, is running back and forth. Okay, the gun is dependent on that in order to eject the empty case and then feed the next round. So, in order for that to happen, right, what has to happen, like I said, the bottom part has to be relatively still. So this goes back all the way and then goes all the way forward and completes the cycling action. By keeping the lower still and not moving, you're conserving the energy, okay? If you're letting the whole gun move around while you're shooting, what that does is it bleeds energy. And as you're bleeding energy out of this system, what's going to happen is the slide may not come back all the way, or the slide may not, if it doesn't come back all the way, it may either fail to eject or it may fail to pick up the next round and properly feed it. This is the most common reason why new shooters usually jam up their gun. Okay, now it's usually more than one thing. What happens a lot of times, the ammunition, especially target ammunition, might be at the lower end of the power spectrum. Okay, so if your ammunition is at the lower end of the power spectrum, which is pretty typical for target ammo, that's pretty much all the ammo that I use. It's all basically target ammo. Because it's at the lower end of the power spectrum, although it's sometimes it'll be a little bit more pleasant for new shooters to shoot. It's less forgiving to the extent that if you don't hold the gun firmly, it's not going to come back all the way and properly cycle. So, having using ammunition at the lower end of the power spectrum is going to make it easier for the gun to jam if you don't hold it properly. Okay, the other thing is if you're using steel case ammunition, and I gotta tell you, like, this Glock has about 90,000 rounds on it. Probably 99 to 95% of that is all steel case, so it works good. However, steel case ammunition does have a rougher surface. So, for example, if you look at the brass tends to be more smooth. Steel case ammo tends to be a little bit less smooth. So what that means is that as the slide goes forward and it starts stripping off the rounds one after the other, if you're letting the gun move around while you're shooting and you're not conserving the energy, again, you're losing some energy to the fact that the gun's moving around. You're also losing some energy, or due to the additional resistance of the steel case. So the steel case usually adds a little bit more resistance. Not a whole lot. I mean, it usually works fine for me. But I have noticed that, brand new shooters, once you combine bad technique with steel case ammunition, it increases the chance of them jamming the gun up. Okay, again, because there's that less conservation of energy. So when you pick up the gun, right, you want to get high on the gun like this, knuckle on the side, no gap over here, not down here where the gun can move around and, again, bleed energy off. You get high on the gun, right? And then what you're going to do is you want to get as much of your hands on this gun as possible. I want to close this gap here. Okay? The gun is trying to come out of the weakest point in your grip. That's this spot right here. Okay, so I want to close that gap off. I'm going to take this meaty part and I'm going to basically plug that hole and push my arms forward into the gun. It doesn't make a difference if I'm shooting one-handed. Again, I'm going to push forward into the gun so that the bottom part of this gun stays steady while I am shooting. Okay, so two-handed, I'm going to push forward into the gun. While you're shooting, you want to focus on that front sight. Match up your sights. Focus on your front sight. What you want to see is that when you're shooting, you don't want that front sight to be jumping around a lot. So if I'm shooting at a target, let's say it looks like this, sights are underneath it like that. What I want to see is boom, 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 boom. I don't want to see boom, 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 boom. I don't want my sights moving all over the target with each shot. And one of the ways that you're going to practice this is when you're shooting, right? You focus on that front sight, which is what you're supposed to do anyway, but pay attention to it for movement, because that movement is going to give you information about what you want to do, about what you're doing wrong, and what you want to correct. And one of the things that you want to do is also practice shooting fast. Okay, well, I mean, obviously start slow, build it up. As you shoot fast, pay attention to your front sight. See, as you shoot faster and faster, is it starting to move more and more? And basically figure out what you have to do to correct that. So I'm going to start shooting now. I want you guys to pay attention to the gun and see how much movement there is on the gun. This is also for my benefit. I'm going to basically check this video out afterwards and see how I'm shooting. Am I shooting good or bad? How much movement is in the gun, okay, when I'm shooting. So, we want to, like I said, focus on that front sight. Pay attention to it. Make sure it's not moving around a whole lot. Those are pretty tiny targets over there. I think they're about 2 or 3 inches wide. And I was still able to get some good hits on it, while shooting fast, because I was focusing on my front sight and making sure it wasn't moving off the target. And if my front sight's not moving off the target between my shots, it means that I have good control of the gun and I'm keeping it in place and it's not moving around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. See you guys soon.